Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, we've heard Kid Austin, Floyd Schofield, and his father, Floyd Schofield Sr., say some unfavorable things about Tank Davis, Devin Haney, and Shakur Stevenson. We've heard this within the last, 2 to 2.5 weeks, when they were on different platforms on YouTube, talking about how all three of those fighters that I just mentioned would be dominated by Kid Austin if they ever fought. Kid Austin fought on Saturday evening. He won the fight. He did get knocked down, but he got back up and he finished the fight. He was dominating predominantly the entire fight. And he's still undefeated. And then he called out some fighters, of course, as we expected him to, after he won his fight on Saturday night. But we also have to agree that Kid Austin does talk. He does. And Kid Austin does talk heavy. He does. But he don't do more talking. And he don't talk more heavier than his dad, Floyd Schofield Sr. I mean, we've seen his dad on a lot of people's platform on YouTube. And we mainly see him do the same thing we've seen other fathers of professional fighters do. Most of them, not all of them. Most of them do. Where they will big up their son's accomplishments, big up their son's talents, and praise their sons, but at the same time put down other fighters, discredit other fighters, underestimate other fighters that they never even competed against most of the time, and or the fighters that they're criticizing and discrediting and putting down have accomplished more than their sons at the time that the father is saying all of these things. And we've seen it time and time again. And unfortunately, Floyd Schofield Sr. is no exception to the rule. Because when you look at the things that they said about Shakur Stevenson, you see this pattern of behavior continue. Now, according to them, based on an interview that they conducted a little over 2 weeks ago, they said, they meaning Floyd Sr. and his son Kid Austin, and it was more so the dad, hyping it up and pressing the issue, as he always does, says that in sparring, that they handed they handed Devin Haney some work, hurt Devin Haney, but they made Shakur Stevenson run. And Shakur Stevenson don't want no work, don't want no parts of Kid Austin in a real fight in the ring. And then Shakur Stevenson responds by going on Greg Hackett's channel. And I did a video responding and reacting to that last week. And Shakur told his version of events that occurred in the sparring session between him and Kid Austin. But long and behold, just last night, I saw a video where the Scofields, Kid Austin and his dad, was on Cigar Talk. Now, I don't know too much about Cigar Talk, but I saw the clip that he put out. I don't know if it's a boxing YouTube channel or not, but he had boxers on there. He had Shakur Stevenson, Floyd Schofield Sr., and Kid Austin, the son. And Shakur Stevenson pulled right up. I'm talking about pull up. Like he was driving past, saw them at a gas station, pumping gas, and bust a U-turn and pulled up in the gas station and was like, what's up? That's how it looked, you know. I have to dramatize it. But in all seriousness, Shakur Stevenson was listening to some of the things that these guys were saying, and he clicked the link. And that's one thing I like about Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson is a real one. That's what I like about him. I actually like him a lot, actually. Because when I say he's a real one, let me be clear when I say that. He holds other people accountable. That's what I like about Shakur. And on top of that, he's a mild-mannered guy. He don't run around here talking gangster. But we know he's very talented in that ring. Highly decorated, skillful fighter, Shakur Stevenson. And he's from the community. You know Shakur from the trenches. So I can relate to Shakur because I'm from the trenches. Okay? But that's what I like about Shakur. Even though he's from the trenches, he don't walk around like he big and bad, and he don't bully people. He don't disrespect people. You know what I mean? He's a mature young man, and that's what I like about him. Outside of the ring first, but of course, inside of the ring, he's very talented. But the thing I like about Shakur Stevenson the most is that he holds other people accountable. And when I saw that video, I smiled. Because Shakur Stevenson, he did something that y'all always see me do. Y'all always see me do it on my channel all the time. You've seen it time and time again for the last 2 years I've been on YouTube. When people say stuff, right? And I ask them a question. Y'all have seen this movie before on my channel, right? And I'm talking about guests that have come on. Like as far as like people jumping on the panel, like clicking the link, like boxing fans. And you've seen me do it to other people who have notoriety in the business when they came on. You know, when I asked a question, and then when I asked a question and the person tried to gaslight and reverse psychology and use manipulative tactics to try to deflect, but then I hold their feet to the fire. And that's one thing I like about Shakur. He did it last night when he talked to, well, I don't know when the video was published, but when I saw it last night, it was in my news, it was in my YouTube feed. Shakur Stevenson, he asked Kid Austin and his dad a question. And when he asked him the question, the dad, who wasn't in the ring sparring with Shakur, by the way, but the dad was trying to give all these other answers and deflecting, and his response had nothing to do with the question Shakur asked. And Shakur said, you dancing around my question. You still didn't answer the question that I asked. What y'all was talking about in sparring? What happened in sparring between, didn't I hurt this kid with a body shot? The question was, didn't you stop the sparring session? Y'all didn't want no more work. That's what Shakur Stevenson was getting at. But y'all running around here talking about y'all going to dominate me in a real fight, and that y'all basically had y'all way with me in sparring, when y'all know that's not true. And the thing is, see, you always know when people really feel the way they feel when you approach them, when you confront them. The real them has to show up. I mean, we all can get on YouTube and talk gangster. Everybody can do that. That's easy. But when you approach somebody, I'm talking about in person, and I'm not saying on no gangster stuff. I'm not saying to provoke violence. I'm saying man to man, having a conversation. Yeah. When I walk up on you, I just want to know what you was talking about on the YouTube. That's what I'm talking about. And then we can discuss it as men. That's what I'm talking about. That type of mentality is what I'm saying. I'm not talking about violence. Stay with me. And Shakur Stevenson did that. He held the Scofields accountable for the words that they were talking about pertaining to him in sparring. And guess what the father did? I was expecting for the father to stay in his Hulk Hogan image and keep talking reckless and keep talking like he's, like they built like that. I was expecting that. And I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about boxing related stuff, y'all. Stay with me. And the father was praising Shakur Stevenson, as he should have. But I'm just saying, at that time, in that moment, he was praising Shakur. Oh, no, we're not going to be disrespectful to Shakur. No, Shakur, no, he's a good, talented. No. I mean, he did eventually say that his son would beat Shakur, knock Shakur out or whatever, and talked about how Shakur Stevenson don't have any power. But he was being respectful. In other words, his energy changed when Shakur pulled up on that live. And see, that's the reason why I keep telling y'all over and over that these fathers need to stop portraying a gangster image. It has absolutely no place in boxing. You've heard me say this about other fathers. But we talking about Kid Austin and his dad. The father did more talking than Kid Austin. And Kid Austin is the one who got in the ring and sparred Shakur Stevenson. And Kid Austin is the one who needs to be calling Shakur out and doing more talking in the interviews if he really wants to fight with Shakur. And I'm not saying he don't. I believe the young boy, Kid Austin, do want to fight Shakur in the ring, in a real fight. That's acceptable. But what's unacceptable is these fathers keep living vicariously through their sons, taking all the shine. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. I keep trying to tell them that, but they don't listen. And the truth really came out. That Shakur Stevenson did hurt Kid Austin with a body shot in sparring. And on top of all of that, the dad pulled the plug and got his son up out of that ring. So the truth actually materialized just by Shakur Stevenson pulling up and holding these guys accountable for things that they said previously. And this is one of the reasons why, y'all heard me say this time and time again on my channel, I don't like when YouTubers and journalists and even some fighters talk about sparring. That bothers me. Why are we talking about sparring? I mean, people be in interviews talking about sparring. Content creators be talking about sparring. I'm not mad. I don't think it's a bad thing that content creators are talking about sparring. I don't want anybody to misinterpret what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we put more emphasis on two fighters honing in on their crafts and getting better and working on different things in the gym and sparring when they're not going to perform the same way and on the same level in a real fight. It's just practice. That's like saying, oh man, Michael Jordan was at practice. He shot the ball 40 times and he missed 20 shots. But then, you know, when he get in the game under the lights, Jordan don't perform like that. You know how many times Jordan might have missed a lot of shots in the practice? This is what Allen Iverson was talking about when he said, y'all asked me about practice? Not the real actual game and what occurred in the real game. We talking about practice. That's what the context was of Allen Iverson and what his statement was. And that's the thing I feel about in boxing. We talking about sparring. Not what happens in a real fight. We talking about sparring. These two competitors, these two athletes, these two fighters were sparring. They were not in a real fight. We're talking about sparring because sparring is just practice. And most of the people that do more talking about sparring has never sparred before a day in their life. Have never put a pair of boxing gloves on a day in their life. Never even hit a heavy bag before. Never hit a speed bag before. Never put on hand wraps before. Never hit the focus mitts before. I'm just saying. Sparring is sparring. So it's no such thing as sparring being a glorified boxing match, because it's not that. But the bottom line is Shakur Stevenson pulled up on these guys. And the father changed his tune. And eventually, yes, as the conversation progressed, he was talking about knocking Shakur out and all these things that his son gonna have to do. And I done told y'all in the video yesterday that I published, and I'm gonna keep saying it over and over. Most of these fathers keep writing imaginary numbers on a blank check that their son is gonna have to cash. And then when the son can't cash the check because the bank account or the bank is closed, that's when that fighter's stock will drop. And we see that happening with Devin Haney when they lose, or when they lose in dramatic fashion. And guess who gets hurt at the end of all of that, emotionally and psychologically? The fighter. And that's why I don't like it, because it hurts the fighter. In the beginning, it might be good to galvanize the community, to put eyes on your son and buy his ticket because he's exciting. But at some point, the fathers got to go behind the scenes and learn the business of boxing, to educate themselves and their sons, to keep the money in the family, and to make the proper adjustments to increase their earning potential as time progresses in the fighter, the son's career. I'm doing way too much talking. Don't roll the tape.